What's up, guys? I am Andrew Erickson, aka The Props Prophet, and today I'm coming at you with my favorite player props for NFL Week 8. Let's dive in. But before we get to building that bankroll, if you want a chance to win a signed Robert Tonyan Chicago Bears jersey, courtesy of bettingpros.com, your place to start betting smarter and not harder, all you have to do is subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel right now, comment below on this video, and that is it. We're announcing a winner right here on the channel. So make sure to turn on those notifications so you can be alerted when new episodes are up and to claim your prize. Now, let's get into the best player props for NFL Week 8. Starting with the Houston Texans, Damen Pierce over 53.5 rushing yards. If the Texans aren't doing damage through the air, I'm going to be confident they can get it done on the ground. Carolina ranks second in missed tackles on defense this season, and that's Damen Pierce's calling card, as it is for yards after the catch wide receiver Nico Collins. I like his over too. But I expect Houston's Operation Ground and Pound to be extremely productive between Pierce and Devin Singletary. Carolina is the only defense to allow 3 first rushing touchdowns to opposing running backs this season. So, along with the rushing prop for Damen Pierce that I like the over on 53.5, I like to dabble in some Pierce anytime first touchdowns, plus 115, plus 700 respectively this week against the Carolina Panthers. Next up, Zack Wilson, Jets quarterback, under 195.5 passing yards, opened at 199.5. Still like this number at 195.5. Look at Zack Wilson. He always finishes under his passing yards prop. Only one time this year has he hit 200 passing yards. And the Giants defense is surging right now, especially with their blitz-heavy scheme. Against the blitz this season, Wilson is PFF's 29th graded quarterback among 35 qualifiers. I'm going to bet the under on Zack Wilson in what's going to be a snooze fest at MetLife Stadium between the Jets and the Giants. It's the anti-Coors Field that's called MetLife Stadium. Next up, Matthew Stafford under 23.5 pass completions. So I like the under overall in the Dallas Rams game. So I think this is potentially a opportunity for a single game parlay with Stafford under 23.5 pass completions. Look, he's been under this number in 4 of 7 games this year, including 3 straight with Cooper Kupp back in the lineup. So every quarterback this year that has faced Dallas has finished under their respective completions prop. So I like the under here on Matthew Stafford. This was from the Betting Pros draft prop cheat sheet, which I liked a lot. You know, it helps me find some props, and this is one that popped out to me over on bettingpros.com. Sticking to this game, Rams and Cowboys, Daryl Henderson Jr. under 43.5 rushing yards. This is just too much investment in what we saw last week. This is all recency bias driven. Look, Henderson started week 7, ran the ball 18 times for 61 yards, 3.4 yards per carry, scored a touchdown in the red zone. He had 2 red zone targets. He also logged 3 total red zone opportunities, played 57% of the snaps. Royce Freeman carried the ball 12 times for 66 yards, was more efficient, averaged 5.5 yards per carry, but did not score. He played 43% of the snaps. So the running backs basically switched off drives, so I'm still not convinced like Daryl Henderson is like the guy in the backfield. He was also less efficient than Royce Freeman was. So in the first half, it was Henderson 9 carries, Freeman 7 carries. I think it's going to be split committee until Kyren Williams comes back. But like, you can't trust any Rams running back as far as you can throw them. Look, none of these guys are made for the long haul. We've seen Sean McVay churn through running backs in real life like fantasy managers churn through running backs on the waiver wire. So the move for me is just like take the under, man. Like the Steelers were a good matchup for running backs. Not the case with Dallas. 5 of the last 6 running backs they have faced have gone under their projected rushing yards total. Just 3 guys they faced this year have gone over 50 rushing yards. And you have to consider how fragile Henderson's role is in this offense. So for me, it's just a bet on Henderson not being the guy there in the long haul. So under to hammer. Myles Gaskin is going to be active this week. That's going to cause a little bit more of a stir in terms of committee and split backfield touches. And Daryl Henderson, man, like he's never been healthy. He got cut last year in November despite leading the team in rushing yards. And I just wanted to look back at what happened last year when he was like the bell cow guy. Look, he was under this number in 70% of his games last season. He never rushed for more than 60 yards in any contest last year. So again, his number's not 60, it's 43.5, but still, I do not want to trust Daryl Henderson, so just bet the under on a running back with a fragile role in the Rams offense in a bad matchup. Not this running back, though. I like this running back over here. Javonte Williams over 10.5 rushing attempts. So I like the over in the KC Denver game overall. So good thing to pair with Javonte Williams. He's hit this mark in all the games that he's been 100% healthy in. So last week, we saw his best usage to date. Reclaimed RB1 duties, carried the ball 15 times for 82 yards, 5.5 yards per carry. long of 21 yards. 53% snap share was a season high. If he's healthy, he gets to work. So I think he's going to get at least 11 carries in this spot for the Denver Broncos. Next up, another over here. Probably my favorite on the overall slate. T. Higgins over 45.5 receiving yards. I like the over in this game. San Francisco and Cincinnati. 49ers ranked 10th in fantasy points allowed per game to wide receivers. 6th to boundary wide receivers, where T. Higgins typically lines up. I expect Higgins to be healthy coming out of the bye week. Joe Burrow should be more healthy, and that should lead to more opportunities for T. Higgins in this offense. Higgins has averaged 62 receiving yards per game in his career. Last year, he averaged 64 receiving yards. So I just think that this number here at 45.5 is just looking too much to what's happened recently with T. Higgins when he's clearly been injured. His quarterback's clearly injured. So I think it's being held against him. I think this is an easy over. I think this is the lowest we're going to see T. Higgins' receiving yards prop all year long. Take advantage over 45.5 receiving yards. Next up here is a dark horse sleeper. Rookie wide receiver Tyler Scott. Over 16.5 receiving yards. For those who aren't familiar, Tyler Scott plays for the Chicago Bears. Now, over the last 2 weeks, he has shown a connection with quarterback Tyson Bagent. Scott saw 29 air yards, which is 52%, as the Bears operated very close to the line of scrimmage last week to protect Bagent as an inexperienced quarterback. But Scott has been showing chemistry with Bagent. He had 2 carries, 3 targets, 2 for 19, but it's been back-to-back weeks where once Bagent has entered the game, he's been looking for Tyler Scott, unfortunately at the expense of Cole Kmet, who really has not been involved. So I think 16.5 receiving yards is just an easy benchmark for him to hop over. I was mad at myself for not buying into Khalil Shakir on Thursday night. I liked his receiving yards prop, but I got scared, and then he just destroyed it. So I'm not going to make that mistake again with a fringe receiver. I feel confident. Tyler Scott, over 16.5 receiving yards. Chargers are allowing the most receiving yards per game to wide receivers this season. Sticking with the Chargers-Bears game, we got a couple more picks for this game, actually. Austin Eckler under 49.5 rushing yards. Joshua Kelly under 26.5 rushing yards. Just take the unders on all these Chargers running backs. I have no confidence that the Chargers can run the football whatsoever, especially against the Bears' run defense that is low-key elite. You know, looking at what they've been able to do, holding opposing ball carries to 3.5 yards per carry, that's tied with the Cleveland Browns. Like, this is an elite run defense. So Eckler, 49.5, he's been under that 80% of his last 5 games played. So not efficient this year, was not efficient at the end of last year. I don't like the matchup. And then Joshua Kelly. Man, Joshua Kelly has gotten there basically when no one's expecting him to do anything. I still think he's second fiddle to Austin Eckler. He got there last week because he had 1 massive touchdown run. I would not bet on that happening 2 weeks in a row. So I like the I like the under overall in this game. And I think you compare it with some of these unders on some of these running backs. And we're going to continue the under train. We're going to keep going. Deontay Foreman under 46.5 rushing yards. Look, Roschon Johnson is expected to return for the Chicago Bears, and that's going to create a 3-headed backfield as Foreman was already splitting work with Darrington Evans. The Bears are massive road dogs, even though I do like them with the points, 8.5. I just don't believe that it's going to be a game script that's favorable for Deontay Foreman to pick up yardage as an early down grinder, especially considering the Chargers they've shown to be a good run defense over the last 2 weeks, allowing fewer than 35 rushing yards to both Isaiah Pacheco and Tony Pollard. Those are on some of the best offenses in the league between the Dallas Cowboys and Kansas City Chiefs. If their running backs couldn't get 40 yards, consider me skeptical that the Bears running back, Deontay Foreman, is going to get to 46.5 rushing yards this weekend. Trey McBride, under 31.5 receiving yards. I love taking unders on tight ends that I think are really fringy, especially on the Arizona Cardinals. So I'm going to fade Trey McBride. He's going to start with Zach Ertz on IR. I don't care. Look, the Ravens are a no-fly zone for tight ends. Baltimore gives up the second fewest fantasy points per game to tight ends, 29 receiving yards per game. Welcome to Undersville, Mr. McBride. Last but not least, a guy I do like a lot in season-long leagues, but someone I'm trying to fade this week in the props market, Michael Pittman Jr. under 58.5 receiving yards. So Pittman had 5 targets, caught 2 for 83 in week 7. He would have flown under this number had he not caught a 75-yard touchdown late in the game. I don't think it's going to happen twice in a row. Saints are allowing the 5th fewest fantasy points per game to perimeter wide receivers. It's a much better matchup, honestly, for Josh Downs in the slot than Pittman on the outside. Pittman's also struggled immensely against man coverage this year, which is pretty much all the Saints run with Marshawn Lattimore and some of their other strong perimeter cornerbacks. He made the big play last week. He bailed you out. I don't think it's going to happen 2 weeks in a row. So that's going to tie a bow on my favorite player props for NFL Week 8. Should be an exciting slate. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, and share with all your friends. And again, be sure to follow me on the Betting Pros app. You can check out all my bets. You can tail them. You can fade them. You can do whatever you feel is right. just make sure you're following me for those first touchdown bets. Tony Pollard is coming with the first touchdown here in week 8. Again, but before you go, if you want a chance to win a signed Robert Tonyan Chicago Bears jersey, courtesy of bettingpros.com, your place to start betting smarter and not harder, all you have to do is subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel right now, comment below in this video, and that is it. We're announcing a winner right here on the channel. Make sure to turn on those notifications so you can be alerted when new episodes are up and to claim your prize. Again, thanks for watching and good luck in week 8.